My name is Pheng Thao. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning. I want to say that we live in a culture that assumes that gender equity and equality exists here in the state of Minnesota in our society because of the few examples of women who are able to achieve and become leaders and elected officials, along with becoming CEOs and whatnot. But that is far from creating a society that has gender equality. The fact is that we still have a high rate of women and girls being impacted by violence. This still says that we are far from gender equality. 1 in 3 women and girls in Minnesota will have experienced or will experience gender violence in their lifetime. In my 15 years of work in the field of trauma and violence, both at the state, local, national, and international level, including domestic violence, sexual violence, and sex trafficking, as a trainer, as a mental health practitioner, as a program director, and a direct service provider, I know that this to be true based on the work that I have, particularly with the work of men who committed sex offenses and domestic violence. Many of the men that go through these programs, domestic violence programs, sex offense programs, share deeply held beliefs about how men are supposed to be seen and how they're supposed to relate to women and girls. These men are just a mere reflection of the larger problem of gender equality. We live in a culture where we are still teaching our boys and young men rigid ideas about manhood, being dominant, strong-willed, emotionless, etc. And that women and girls are still there to serve their needs. For example, we've asked men why they use violence toward their partner, and after some exploration, a majority of them understand not to hit women. But they realize that choosing violence towards their partner is because they know they can hit women and get away with it, or because it is their right to do so. This comes from the belief that men are to be in charge and because they are the head of their households. My son came home a few months ago with this rhyme, and he's only 7. Boys go to college to get more knowledge, and girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Both of these examples demonstrate that there are still ideas about women and girls in places in society and where they belong, taught at a very young age. The Women's Foundation's 2018 report on the status of women and girls in Minnesota says that on any one given day, Minnesota providers serve an estimated 2,400 victims of domestic violence. Most, if not all of these, are women. The report also says that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, estimates that there are 684,000 women in Minnesota in a year who are survivors of rape, physical violence, and stalking. What does this translate to? Target Field has about 39,000 seats. That means filling that stadium up to 17 times. Many survivors of gender violence have access to relief and protections, but still many do not. And if they're able to access these protections, they have to continuously prove that they are not the ones who are participating in their own victimization, and that they have to resist the violence. So in order to end, or at least curb these violent acts, behaviors, and deeply held beliefs about women and girls, the culture must change. Therefore, we strongly ask that Minnesota become a state that allows for full gender equality under the law, where it is just not assumed. Thank you.
Thank you.